Hey everybody, this is GGB co-host Poppers. Today we're going to talk about NFL games we have going on today. There's honestly less than I thought there would be. There's like 11 games today. Only 6 in the early window. It's like weird. It's a weird number, but let's start off with the bat. First game we got 12 o'clock. Bengals traveling to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Ravens favored by 6.5 points on CBS. Bengals are one of those surprisingly good teams, right? Like, if I had to list the teams I thought were going to be good this year, I thought the Bengals had a possibility of being like a wild card team, right? But like there were some serious issues, still flaws. Like they didn't have a great defense last year. They didn't do all that much to upgrade it, and honestly, you could count a lot of what they did as a downgrade. Outside of like picking up Trey Hendrickson in free agency, they lose William Jackson III in free agency. You sign Awuzie, who is supposed to be a downgrade. A lot of good players leave in free agency for Cincinnati's defense, and you're looking at Eli Apple as one of your starting players, and you're thinking, maybe this defense isn't going to be it's going to be really bad next year. Defense turns out to be really good. The Bengals' offensive line turns out to be way better than we thought we had, and those were the two weaknesses we saw heading into the year. We knew Joe Burrow was going to be good. I mean, at least most people thought he was going to be good. I mean, like, there was still the little bit of a doubt, like, can he come back from that kind of injury? How quickly does he return back to normal? Turns out, like, week 3 he is back to normal. The wide receivers, we all knew those 3 were going to be a phenomenal matchup. And then we all knew that Joe Mixon was going to have his way on the ground. I didn't know how nice of a piece Chris Evans was going to end up being to the matchup, and along with Samaje Perine. Bengals are an interesting football team. You look at Baltimore. Baltimore is one of those teams that got hit with injury after injury to start the year, and you're thinking, man, this is a running team. You lose your top 3 running backs, there's a very good likelihood that you are going to be a bad football team. And it was looking like, man, letting Mark Ingram walk in free agency was a huge mistake. And then you know what happens? The front office does its work. It gets Latavius Murray, Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell in free agency. Talk about 3 guys where if you go back 3-4 years ago, right? You would have some serious cap issues having all 3 of those players on the same team. Now, all 3 have not had the best past 3 or 4 years. Now, obviously, Latavius Murray was pretty good last year. Was a surprise, in my opinion, cut from the Saints. And he's turned out to be really good with Baltimore. Devonta Freeman was a guy that's been hovering around free agency for a while. He was with the Giants a little bit last year, but didn't really stick. He was with the Saints in the preseason. Again, didn't stick. And then he goes to Baltimore. Suddenly he's the number 2 back in Baltimore. Right this week he's going to be the number 1 back with Latavius Murray out. And then you go to Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell has been hopping around since the Steelers let him walk at free agency. The Jets gave him a huge contract. He ends up being traded away from the Jets to the Chiefs. Doesn't like the Chiefs. He ends up leaving in free agency. And then the Baltimore Ravens pick him up on the practice squad. He ends up eventually getting signed to the roster. And man, the Ravens overcome stuff. And a lot of that can be put on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson. Man, it's been phenomenal. Talking about right now, the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, let's be honest here. The Bills are going to be on your heels for that number 1 seed. The Chiefs are going to get their stuff together eventually. Like, it's not an easy walk down the road for Baltimore. Plus, you're in arguably the toughest toughest division in the AFC right now, with Cincy and Cleveland both looking like playoff teams right now, and Pittsburgh no joke as well. This is an interesting football game. You're gonna have Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. It's gonna be really fun to watch. Latavius Murray not being there is a little bit difficult for me to love the Baltimore Ravens here, because you look at him. He is easily their best running back. You're going to have to rely a lot on Devonta Freeman. Tyson Williams is probably going to get a good amount of carries this game. Weirdly enough, I think the Bengals in this upset. I think Joe Burrow has this team rolling. I think he keeps rolling. and he upsets the Ravens. We're talking about favored by 6.5 points. 12 o'clock, we have Redskins traveling to Green Bay to play the Packers. Packers favored by 8 points on Fox. Redskins, in my opinion, the most disappointing team. I think there's an argument to be made. Colts are extremely disappointing this year. San Francisco's really disappointing this year. But I've got to hand it to the Redskins being as disappointing as they come. You're talking about a team that a lot of people were hyping as a possible NFC Championship team. Like, remember, this was the team that a lot of people were comparing to the 49ers 2 years ago. A team that went to the Super Bowl a lot because of their defensive front, a quarterback that could game manage. And you can blame some of it on injuries, but a lot of it has to do with the players themselves. Ryan Fitzpatrick going down in the first game, obviously not ideal. But still an injury you should be able to come back from. Heineke's a decent enough backup. The fact is, outside of Terry McLaurin, receivers aren't getting open. The offensive line's not protecting him. It's just bad. It is really bad in Washington, because outside of Terry McLaurin, who are you going to throw to? Because Curtis Samuel's out once again. You got Adam Humphries. Cam Sims is out. You got De'Ami Brown. You got Milne. DeAndre Carter. These guys you want as your top receiving options? No. No, you don't. And the fact is these guys aren't getting open. Not to mention Logan Thomas goes down, who's easily your second best threat on the team. And you're stuck with Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals-Jones played admirably well against Kansas City. And honestly, did pretty well. Still do not want him starting. Do not want him starting any football games. And you look at the running backs, they've played well, in my opinion. Gibson and J.D. McKissick, I don't blame a lot of this on the offense. The defense has been goddamn atrocious, guys. You're talking about a front four that was considered to be one of the best front fours in the NFL. You're talking about Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, all from first-round draft picks. Not to mention Tim Settle and Matthew Ioannidis, two of the best depth players in all of football. You look at the linebacker core, Cole Holcomb was the player that was on the up and up. He was coming up-and-coming player. First-round draft pick, Jamin Davis. You have, in the secondary, Kendall Fuller, one of the better corners in our league. William Jackson III, a big free agent signing. Landon Collins, a hugely lucrative deal to him to play safety. Cameron Curl coming off that breakout season. You had Bobby McCain, who signed in free agency. I mean, you have some pieces there to work with, and yet the defense still sucks so bad. They're so bad. You look at Green Bay, on the other hand, they've played well. They've played admirably well. Now, have they escaped some games that they shouldn't have? I mean, they escaped San Francisco and they escaped Cincinnati. 2 games that they likely should have lost. Still a team that is playing admirably well right now under Aaron Rodgers, playing extremely well. You still have most of your key players intact. You lose some on the defensive end, and you have some injuries on the offensive line. But outside of that, for Green Bay, mostly healthy. No serious wide receiver injuries. There's a reason this Packers team's favored by 8 points. They're just a better team than the Redskins right now. And I'm sorry to say, Redskins fans, because I picked you to win the NFC East. Don't see you winning the NFC East now, especially the way Dallas is playing. Give me the Packers to win and cover this 8 point spread. 12 o'clock, the Falcons traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins. And one of the lowest spreads of the day, actually. The lowest spread of the day. Falcons favored by 2 points on Fox. So what's interesting about this game is the Dolphins are in kind of a must-win situation. You're sitting at 1-5, and it's like if you lose, you're likely out. Like, you need to start winning football games, Miami Dolphins. Like, now. You need to start winning them now. And if you look at that offense, they should be. You're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, you got him back. You're talking about with the wide receiver core. Now, I understand. Wide receivers are hurt. Will Fuller's out for a couple of weeks. You have Devontae Parker. I don't know if he's going to be able to play this week. You didn't have Preston Williams last week. Still, you have Jalen Waddle. You have Mac Hollins. And these guys are making plays for you. You have Albert Wilson. Just some pretty solid players, and you're just completely not using them. Now, give credit to the Falcons. They're 2-3. Not a football team I would have guessed to have been 2-3. They started off relatively poorly, and then they've kind of bounced back from that poor start, gone 2-1 down the stretch. Are the Falcons good, guys? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. But you're talking about Matt Ryan. He's a top 15 quarterback in this league, right? You're talking about Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. See, the thing is, Cordero Patterson's gone off, by the way. One of the biggest, probably the most underrated free agency pickup of the year is the Falcons signing Cordero Patterson. A lot of people forgot where he went. He's in Atlanta. And he was the offense for Atlanta when they were playing, who were they playing? Washington, I think, right? Where Cordero Patterson just went off. Dolphins are just a disappointment of a team right now. Falcons are on the up and up. They look good. I picked the Falcons here. I think they're a better football team right now. Sorry, Miami. I picked you to make the playoffs, but you're disappointing right now. Hey everybody, it's GGB, Coast Peppers, and it's time for Popper's Pick of the Week. Really? No way, Adelaide. She's picking the New York Jets to upset the New England Patriots on the road, despite the Patriots being favored by 7 points. It's an interesting take, that's for sure. Here's what... Mac Jones is kind of one of those quarterbacks that, like, you're not going to get a bad performance out of him, but you're not going to get a great... He's a game manager. And I don't know how close he can be to not being a game manager. Like, can he be a phenomenal quarterback? Can he have the moments like Alex Smith where he can single-handedly put a team on his back and lead them to wins? Or is he the Alex Smith at the end of his career that just couldn't do that, right? That needed a phenomenal team around him to be able to win? I don't know. I honestly don't know that question. I do know. Right now, Zach Wilson is not winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Everyone who picked him, it was like, I don't know if I think that was a good choice. Now, Trevor Lawrence is kind of coming on. It looked like at the beginning of the year it was a bad choice, but Trevor Lawrence is coming on to maybe possibly win that Offensive Rookie of the Year. But right now, I just don't think Zach Wilson's it. It ain't it, guys. That ain't it. I don't know. I like New England here, if I'm going to be honest. Mac Jones has a better supporting cast around him. He has a phenomenal run game that he can rely on. Name a Jets running back. Go. I mean, I can name one. I can really name two off the top of my head just because I've been watching Jets games. But normally, most fans can't. Michael Carter's not been having a good start of the year. I mean, neither's Tevin Coleman. Run game has not been getting going. It has been really stuck in the mud, which makes me think the Patriots are going to win this one. They just need to keep control of the ball, keep running the ball, and get their third win over a rookie QB. Total, I got the Panthers traveling to New York to play the Giants. Panthers only favored by 3 points on Fox, and this is a 3-3 Panthers team that is struggling. Oh, please continue to struggle, Panthers. I have some money riding on that, but I mean, the Giants have also been struggling. So this is kind of like, if you're gonna win, Panthers, now would be the time to do it. I mean, you have your excuse against Dallas. I don't really think you have an excuse against Philly, but then you lose to, who'd they lose to last week? Minnesota. I think Minnesota's a good football team. I don't think Philly is. You lose 3 straight. You're losing to New York. That's a bad thing. I understand the Saints lost to New York. I don't need you guys to rub that irony in on me, but I like Daniel Jones, but the problem is he just does not have the supporting cast around him, right? You don't have Saquon Barkley. You don't have Kenny Galladay. You do not have Darius Slayton. I don't know the status of Kadarius Toney. I'm not positive on that. But it can't be good. Who do you throw into? Sterling Shepard? I mean, they have some other receivers in the field, like John Ross, Dante Pettis. Colin Johnson was one of my favorites in college, but, like, you need other options. And right now, Evan Ingram's not stepping up. Kyle Rudolph isn't stepping up, which is who needs to step it up? Veterans. These veterans need to step it up, Daniel Jones is literally doing the best he can out there with these absolute scrubs, and it's just not working. Making me angry. I think the Panthers are going to get their first win here. They've actually looked somewhat competent. I understand they lost 3 straight, but they've looked competent in 3 games. It's been a close 3 games. Giants have not looked competent since they played the Saints, and I think that sticks here. I think the Panthers are going to win this one by more than 3. 12 o'clock, the Chiefs traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. Chiefs somehow favored by 4 points on CBS. Can someone explain that to me? No, someone in the comment section, break down, why are the Chiefs favored by 4 points? Now, I think they might win this game. Maybe by even more than 4. But you're talking about a 4-2 Titans team. A Titans team that right now is the number 2 seed in the AFC. Well, maybe it might be 3. I haven't checked. The Raiders might be ahead of them. You're talking about a Tennessee Titans team that is playing at high-level football right now. They have Derrick Henry. They have A.J. Brown. They have Julio Jones. Their defense is stepping it up. Why is that Titans team not favored against a Chiefs team that has struggled? I think even my mom would agree that the Chiefs do not look like their best selves right now. They don't look like a goods version of themselves right now. All you need to do is watch the Chargers game. All you need to do is watch the Ravens game. All you need to do is watch, honestly, the Bills game is the best example of why this team right now is not playing at a very good level. Now, that can change. The defense starts playing well. This is much different. That's a different conversation for me. But right now, the defense is in the bottom quarter of defenses in the NFL. Like, if you're talking about worst defenses, it's going to be like Seahawks, Jets, Jaguars, Chiefs. Now, it's a weird thing to have one of the best teams in the NFL's name as one of the worst defenses, but it's true. The defense is playing absolutely atrocious right now. Just god-awful. Not good defense at all. Now, I'm not saying the Tennessee Titans defense is really good, but it has stepped it up in the past few weeks ever since they lost to the Jets. I think this is interesting. I think it's going to be a shootout. Give me the Chiefs to win, but barely by a 3-point victory, and the Titans cover that 4-point spread. 3:05, we got the Eagles traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Raiders only favored by 3 points on Fox. See, this is an interesting game. Obviously, the Raiders, interesting football team. You no longer have a head coach. Normally, when your head coach is fired, it's because you're doing poorly. But right now, the Raiders are leading their division. I don't know what the tiebreaker is between them and the Titans, but they have 4-2 record. The worst, they're the 3 seed. And I don't know the tiebreaker between actually the 3, because the Bills, the Titans, and the Raiders all have the same record. Don't know the exact tiebreaker between those teams, but Raiders playing a good level. You should be. You look at that team heading into the year, if the defense could step it up, which it has, Derek Carr's playing well. You have a good ground game in Josh Jacobs / Kenyon Drake / Jalen Richard / Peyton Barber. You have a good receiving core. You look at Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, Willie Snead, even sometimes a useful. Zay Jones is a useful piece. Darren Waller is obviously one of the best tight ends in the entire NFL. You have all the pieces there if you're the Raiders. The only real question was, are you going to crumble? And honestly, we don't know yet. We honestly don't know. Raiders crumble sometimes. It's happened the past couple of years. They look good at the beginning of the year. They crumble towards the end of it. Just what happens. I'm sorry to break it to you, Raiders fans. It's what happens. Eagles, on the other hand, they've shown some late season surges in the past. You look at when Nick Foles was their starting quarterback in, what was it? 2020, 2019. I want to say 2018. 2018, he had a late season surge to get into the playoffs and then beat the Bears. Yeah, I think that's what happened. He beat the Bears in the playoffs. 2018 season. It was a good season. Good season for him. Had a bounce. Eagles have shown late season surges, the opposite of the Raiders. But the fact is, it's a weird Eagles team right now. Like, I don't dislike what they're doing. Like, I still don't think Jalen Hurts is a starting NFL quarterback. I mean, maybe that's just me, but, like, if you were going to have a team that does not have a starting caliber NFL quarterback, you build a pretty good one. The offensive line isn't trash, although it's not phenomenal. You have one of the better running backs in the league in Miles Sanders. You have a very good number 2 option in Kenneth Gainwell. You have some good receivers in Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins. I mean, like, there's some real speed and talent there. Obviously, you have a great tight end in Dallas Goedert. But then you're like, the defense is playing way above, in my opinion, their skill level. And by the way, can we mention how much of a BS that taunting call was against the Buccaneers on Thursday night? It was like, gotta give Tom Brady the win, guys. Otherwise, Tom Brady might feel bad about himself. Do we really want Tom Brady to feel bad about himself? Do we really want him to cry? I hate refs. Honestly, I could shoot refs. And honestly, I'd probably go on a longer tangent next week with my college football videos. But inconsistency is literally my most angering thing. Like, it makes me so freaking mad. How something is a penalty in one game and then not a penalty in the other. Or not even different games. The same freaking game. It's just on 2 different sides of the coin. You don't even have to go back that far. Go to the Kentucky-Florida game, my most recent example. You look at one drive, Kentucky gets, like, their receiver gets tackled. No pass interference. The Florida guy, Kentucky's just playing some good defense, not grabbing, not even hitting him. That's not PI. That's not... Ah! I mean, the Eagles game last week, so many calls could have been PI on the poor Eagles receivers who were just getting mauled by the Buccaneers corners. And honestly, I don't know how the NFL does not fix this already. Because it's like Tampa is the only ones that gets these calls. Tom Brady's teams are the only ones that get these calls. If it happened in New Orleans one time, I would celebrate. I would be like, yes! But never for New Orleans. It's always for Tampa Bay. It doesn't matter if they're down to the 4th-string corner. So if they can just tackle receivers and they're not going to get called for PI, guess what they're going to do? Not going to be a big question mark, NFL. Dummies. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there. The Eagles are playing the Raiders. I like the Raiders here. I think Derek Carr's playing at an MVP level. You have so much talent around him. And just the fact is Nick Sirianni's a dummy. He's a butt munch. He's a dumb person. Oh my god. Dude, you have one of the best running backs in the NFL. I have an idea. Run the football. I know. It's a novel concept. But I would try it before I get fired. Which is going to happen to you. But the Raiders are the better football team here. I'm picking the Raiders. 3-5, we got the Lions traveling to LA to play the Rams. Rams favored by 16.5 points on Fox. Such a large spread. Why? Are the Lions really this bad? Are we really just underhyping them because they played a bad game against the Bengals and they got crushed? Every single game before that, they were in the game. Now, the end of the Packers game, sure, you can argue they weren't in the game anymore. In what world should this game be 16.5 points? What? That's not an NFL level spread, guys. That is not a spread for an NFL team. I understand the Lions are not playing high level football right now. But 16.5 points? You're just asking people to pick the Lions to cover the spread and then get a whole bunch of money. Because, like, no matter how good the Rams are and how bad the Lions are, I don't see an NFL team beating another NFL team by that much and being expected to. Especially with a quarterback like Jared Goff under center. Like, I understand it's happened. Like, it happened against the Bengals last week. They lost by a lot of points. 17 points is too much. I'm just going to say it. It's too many points. I love the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to win this football game. But the idea that Jared Goff and, like, the scrappy Lions, that was the point of this season so far, at least. Dan Campbell's Lions are scrappy. They stay in football games. I think we're a little bit overreacting after one game. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I think the Lions are a decent football team. I know. Novel concept that an NFL team isn't going to lose by 17 points. I 100% put my money on the Lions to cover the spread. Rams to win, though. 325, Texans at Cardinals. Cardinals are by 18 points on CBS, and I don't know what is up with these large spreads. It's making me so angry. I don't like large spreads. They're stupid. Who is going to take the Cardinals plus 18? I mean, minus 18. Who in their right mind is going to say, I think the Cardinals are going to win by 21 points against an NFL team? No, that's not going to happen. At least you can't expect it to happen. It could happen, right? There's a chance of it happening. But, like, if we're going to take 100 situations between the Texans and Cardinals, right? 100 different universes, they all play out differently. I'd say about 80 of them, the Texans cover. 18 points is way too many points to put on the Cardinals. I understand why you're going against the Texans here. Honestly, if I was a survival team, I would be picking the Cardinals this week. If I was still alive, if the Titans could play football. My God, guys. You can beat the Bills, but you can't beat the freaking New York Jets. You're a disappointment to your families. The Texans are not as horrible team as they're made out to be. Their offense isn't playing great right now. Their defense is playing at a pretty good level, right? I think if they can just get a ground game going, any semblance of a ground game going, help out Davis Mills. The Cardinals defense is really good, and I think the Cardinals should win by double digits. They should not win by more than 18. Give me the Texans to cover that 18 points, but the Cardinals to win. 325, the Bears trailing to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay favored by 11.5 points on CBS. Why are the Buccaneers favored by 11.5 points? Why? I am angry. I am legitimately upset with all these large spreads, these double-digit point spreads that make no sense. I understand the previous two. Like, I don't think the Texans are going to beat the Cards. I don't think the Lions are going to beat the Rams, right? I think there's a possibility the Bears beat the Bucs. If we're going to be honest here. You're talking about the Bucs that have so many injuries right now. It's not even funny. You're talking about an offense that's going to be without Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, and possibly O.J. Howard. You're talking about a defense that's going to be without Levante David. They're starting 3 corners. Yeah, if there ever was a game where Justin Fields was going to go off, now would be the time to do so, my friend. It's interesting because I don't think the Bears' offense matches up explicitly well with the way the Bucs' defense plays, because the Bucs really go all out against the run, really try to stop the run. That's really where the Bears excel, despite having all those injuries to the running backs. Damian Williams might be back this week. I don't know how long COVID-19 lasts. Like the little precautions, how long he has to be out. But Khalil Herbert ran pretty well against the Packers. He was one of my favorite running backs in the draft class. He was in my top 10. I loved him. Top 10 running backs, not top 10 overall. Top 10 running backs. I loved him coming out of the draft. I watched a lot of Virginia Tech. I'm gonna be honest. I watched a good amount of Virginia Tech football. He was a good running back. The fact that he slipped to the 6th round is an absolute travesty. I'm gonna pick the huge upset. Bears travel to Tampa and upset them. Give me the Bears. 7:20 with the Colts traveling to San Francisco to play the Niners, everyone. Niners favored by 4 points on NBC. Now, I haven't been following a lot with the Niners news. I think they got Elijah Mitchell back. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that they got Elijah Mitchell back. He's an asset. He's a huge asset for this football team. Big question to me is Jimmy G going to play? Because I feel like if Jimmy G plays, this is a different football game. If Trey Lance plays, the Colts defense is going to eat him up. The Colts defense will eat him up. We saw what they did to the rookie last week in Davis Mills. The defense isn't phenomenal this year. It's good enough to eat up a rookie quarterback. We saw against Arizona that he was not able to get much going. I remember they lost 13-10. Not a lot of points put up in that football game. Cardinals were able to eke it out with a victory. They had a bye last week. I'm hoping Jimmy G's coming back from an injury. The Colts they look way better against the Texans last week. I remember I picked the Texans to win like a dummy. But the Colts right now, maybe they're picking up their stride. Maybe they're going to get back into the playoff conversation. I mean, I picked them to make the playoffs. I would like to not look like a dummy. I would like to not look absolutely stupid. I still think Carson Wentz is getting his stuff together. I think, obviously, still Jonathan Taylor, you have to run it with him. Like, that is a must. You have to keep running the football with Jonathan Taylor. He's one of the best young backs in football right now. You've got to get him the ball. The receivers are honestly not that great. Outside of Michael Pittman, not a lot of playmakers there. Tight end is the same way. Mo Alley Cox is a nice player to have, but not a super playmaker. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle that the Colts barely eke out. Give me the Colts with the upset over San Francisco on NBC.